What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you are new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the new 2022 Genesis G80 courtesy of Jack G on Volvo Genesis in York, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. And so I am in this one today because I do feel like I review this one every single year. My dad actually owns a G80 and he absolutely loves it. You do get America's best warranty with this thing as well, being 5 years, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper, 10-year, 100,000 miles on the powertrain, which again, it doesn't get any better than that. You also get 3 years of complimentary maintenance as well, meaning for the first 3 years of ownership, you don't have to pay for things like the oil changes and the tire rotations. That is also quite brilliant. And you get the Gen 6 experience, which gives you a ton of different perks, but perhaps the main perk that I would appreciate is they actually come to you, whether it be you need an oil change or your car worked on, they will actually drop you off a loaner wherever you're at, and they'll work on your car and then bring it back to you. So you don't actually have to ever step foot into a dealership if you didn't want to, which I think is pretty cool. But anyways, in this video, I will be testing out and going over everything about the new G80 here, from acceleration to braking, steering for ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all of that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2022 Genesis G80. First one being the 2.5 rear wheel drive, starting at $48,000 even. Then there is the 2.5 rear wheel drive advanced for $52,600. Then 2.5 rear wheel drive prestige, which is the one we are in today, starting at $56,900. 3.5 all-wheel drive sport for $63,450, and the 3.5 all-wheel drive prestige for $69,750. And so if you guys probably noticed, the 2.5 versions all come standard with rear wheel drive. If you wanted to add all-wheel drive to any of those configurations, simply add $3,150 then to those prices. But as you could probably imagine, there are two different engine configurations for the G80. First one being a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline four-cylinder, putting out 300 horsepower at 5,800 RPM, 311 pound-feet of torque, coming in around 1,600 RPM. Power center rear wheels or all wheels through an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which you guys know we will test out here in a little bit. 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 5.5 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 23 in the city, 32 on the highway for the front-wheel drive, 22 city, 30 then on the highway for the all-wheel drive, taking premium unleaded fuel. But then there is that more powerful engine configuration, being the 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6. That one puts out 375 horsepower at 5,800 RPM, 391 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 1,300 RPM. Power sent to all four wheels only. This is one of the major changes for the 2022 G80. There's no rear-wheel drive variant of this particular engine configuration anymore like last year. All-wheel drive only, through an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters, 0 to 60 time approximately 5 seconds flat, with MPG numbers coming in at 18 in the city, 26 on the highway, again taking premium unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun paddle shifter or acceleration test here in our G80, I did want to mention the drive modes. And so that drive mode button is located just to the right of that circular shifter. And by the way, let me elaborate on the shifter here. It is a circular shifter, so you could turn it to the left for reverse, turn it to the right for drive, and just simply press it in the middle for park. So it's a little bit different than other shifters out there. But back to the drive modes, if you press that button, you will get comfort, sport, eco, and custom. Custom being my particular favorite, because then you can kind of customize it to make a heavier steering feel, but not necessarily that instant acceleration that sport driving mode always gives you. So that's probably the one that I would configure. But they will adjust things like the shift points, throttle response, steering sensitivity, and all that fun stuff. So having said all that, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find it straight away. And let's put the paddle shifters here to the test first, and let's see how quickly they are going to react for us here. All right, it is holding first. That's good. It doesn't shift for you. And here we go. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay, unfortunately, but the cool thing about paddle shifters is maybe when it's snowing out here in Pennsylvania, as it quite often does, unfortunately, when you're going down a hill, rather than actually using the braking and risk sliding off that hill, you can simply just downshift and do a little bit of engine braking. So it's a little bit of a safety feature in itself, I guess you could say. But having said that, let's now go ahead and find yet another straightaway. Let's put the acceleration here to the test. And by the way, we do have the 2.5 liter today, in case I haven't mentioned it already. And let's see how quickly this new 2022 Genesis G80 here is going to get us up to speed. All right, in 3, 2, 1, go. there it is. All right, you're most definitely not going to have any issues merging onto the highway. And quite honestly, I wasn't expecting that. That was actually a lot quicker than I expected it to be, because again, we don't have the more powerful engine configuration. It gets dang quick in this thing if you go with that twin turbocharged 6-cylinder, but honestly, the 2.5 liter is plenty fine. You're definitely not going to have any issues merging onto the highway, but to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so when it comes to the braking configuration, up front you will find 13.6-inch ventilated front discs, in the back 12.8-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, it is going to come in at 116 feet for the 2.5 liter, 124 feet for the 3.5 liter, so a little bit of a difference there. As far as the braking feel goes, we do have the 2.5 liter, like I said, so it has been perfectly fine. Definitely stops quite nicely. It is not a soft braking feel particularly, so I definitely did appreciate the braking feel on the G80. Then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get an independent McPherson strut front suspension, in the back independent multi-link rear suspension, but I did want to mention, if you go with the 3.5 liter, you also get an adaptive damping suspension, and so Genesis does it a little bit differently with theirs. Essentially, they actually use a camera system that scans the road, constantly adjusting the suspension, not only giving you a smoother ride, but also tightening up the suspension during heavy cornering, essentially giving you the best of both worlds there. So as far as ride quality goes, honestly, that is the very first thing I noticed when I got in this one. It is something I've said in even the previous generation, the G80. It is an incredible ride quality. It's definitely one of the car's strong suits. It soaks up these road imperfections like it's nothing. It's a very incredibly smooth ride, and that's due in part because of the suspension setup, but it really is an incredible ride here in the G80 without a doubt. But then touching on the steering feel, it is a very noticeable difference depending upon which driving mode that you put it in. So for example, if I were to press the drive mode button again, it is now in sport, you can immediately notice the heavier steering feel to this thing, instantly pointing you in the direction that you want to go. I'm telling you guys, it is a very noticeable difference, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it back in comfort driving mode here, and it instantly loosens up. It's not too loosey-goosey, but it is much looser steering feel in the comfort driving mode. But anyways, then touching on cabin noise, it is perfectly fine, definitely absorbing a lot of the wind noise that is not coming into the cabin. I am going 50 miles per hour right now, and there is no wind noise whatsoever, so well done Genesis yet again for that. And touching on visibility, I can see perfectly fine out the back. I've never had any issues with the G80 when it comes to visibility. It's a 4-door sedan, you're usually not going to have any issues with that. Also, rain sensing windshield wipers do come standard as well, and a head-up display is going to be available if you wanted to go that route as well, and that's essentially going to project your speed, the speed limit, and some safety features up on your windshield. But that about rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2022 Genesis G80. All right, so now here she is, you guys, the new 2022 Genesis G80. And so several changes when it comes to the exterior for the 2022 model year. Believe it or not, slight changes, but I did want to touch on them first before we continue. Sport package content has now been added to all the 3.5 liter trims, and that includes exterior and interior design elements, actually, including that more aggressive front and rear fascia specifically. So sport package, where it was in 2021, that look is now coming on all of the 3.5 liters for 2022. Not only that, you do have some added colors for the sport trim specifically for the 2022 model year, including Cavendish Red, Siberian Ice, Verbier White, and Melbourne Gray as well. But pretty much covers the exterior changes. Let's now go ahead and start up front on this one. Large aluminum front grille designed to mimic the design of the Genesis logo, which I always thought was pretty cool. Adaptive cruise control sensor integrated into that front grille as well. You almost can't even tell it's there from a distance, so they did pretty darn good with that. Just below that sensor, you'll actually find a front-facing camera, and of course that grille actually continues down just below the grille, kind of incorporating that design just below as well, so it was a pretty nice touch. To the sides then, front air curtains do come standard across the board, of course, and quad beam full LED headlights do come standard across the board as well. And when I say full, I mean not just the low beams, but LED high beams as well, which you don't always get. So of course the lighting does come with the automatic feature, meaning when it starts to get dark out at night, those headlights will turn on automatically for you there. LED daytime running lights and automatic high beams then as well. But so that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the side. Chrome window surrounds do come standard. Body colored power adjustable side mirrors also coming standard, and they will be heated, by the way, as well for all trim levels. If you were curious why there's not any integrated turn signals in those side mirrors, that's because they're actually located on the front fender. You have these dual bars, they're LED as well, and they light up in amber. They look so stinking cool on the front fender, so I love that Genesis chose to put them there as opposed to the side mirrors. It's pretty cool. But taking a look at the wheel configurations, 18-inch alloy wheels coming standard, 19-inch alloys coming with the 2.5 Advanced, 3.5 Prestige, and the base 3.5 liter as well, and then 20-inch alloys coming with the 3.5 liter Prestige. Then did want to also mention, since we're around here on the side, the 3.5 liter trims, that's also going to give you soft closed doors like you see on Mercedes or BMW. So if you don't shut the door all the way, it's kind of going to use this vacuum type system to suck it in. So it's pretty cool. But that pretty much rounds out the side of the G80 here. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back. And so starting up top, body colored shark fin antenna does come standard, horizontal Genesis lettering. Of course, you can find that back there as well. Chrome accenting on the upper portion of that trunk, and there's actually an integrated trunk release button into that chrome accenting as well. That was pretty cool. All-wheel drive badging, if your Genesis G80 is equipped with that. LED taillights with that design to match the LED headlights up front. Also, another interesting tidbit about the back end here, the reverse lights, where you typically find them in the rear taillight somewhere, they're actually integrated on the bottom portion of the rear bumper there. So thought that was kind of interesting, and they had that last year to be fair, but it's just an interesting design element there. But to the sides then, integrated dual exhaust outlets into that rear bumper, so they look good with chrome tips. And so having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. So now, since we are around back of the G80, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, there is a hands-free smart trunk with the auto open feature that comes standard for every single trim level across the board. So you gotta love that. But there is that button on the trunk, like I was telling you guys. It is a power trunk if you were to go with one of the advanced or prestige trim levels. And there is a button on the key fob as expected, and also a button by the driver's side left knee then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 13.1 cubic feet. There is some cargo lighting back there if you wanted it. There is some cargo netting on both sides of the cargo area back there as well. Tie-down anchors, which you usually find in SUVs. They actually got them here in the G80, so I thought that was pretty cool. And if you were curious whether or not the G80 has a fix-a-flat or a spare tire, if you lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you will find a spare tire located there. So just in case you were interested. But then making our way up to the rear legroom, that is going to come in at 38.7 inches. So for reference, I am an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had back there. But really, rear passengers have got it made in the G80. Here's why. Power rear window sunshade with side window sunshades that are going to be manual for those comes standard on every single trim level. You got to love that. And by the way, that button to actually control that power rear sunshade is going to be located on the rear center armrest. So the rear passengers actually have control of that. And there actually is a button up front for the driver to control it as well. But I found that pretty cool. And by the way, rear cup holders do come standard back there within that center armrest, and there is actually some storage for maybe a tablet back there as well. And heated rear seats, those buttons are also going to be on that center armrest, but heated rear seats come standard on the all-wheel drive configurations of the G80. You will find 3-zone climate control for the advanced and prestige trim levels, so therefore the rear passengers can set their own temperatures, which leads me to there is rear ventilation that comes standard, of course, and some front seat mat pockets for all trim levels across the board as well. So like I said, rear passengers have got it made, and those rear seats were plenty comfortable without a doubt. But making our way then to the front seats, leather surfaces coming with the 2.5 base and 2.5 advanced. Full leather seating coming with the 2.5 Prestige and the 3.5 liter. Napa leather surfaces for the 3.5 Prestige. Overall, the standard configuration is 12-way power adjustable front seats, and that does come with smart posture care, which essentially is when Genesis uses your height and inseam to create that perfect seating position specifically tailored for you. That is pretty cool. But heated front seats do come standard, ventilated front seats with the 2.5 liter advanced trim level and up. And there is a 16-way power driver seat if you go with one of the prestige trim levels. And also, that Prestige is going to add to that ergo motion seats as well, which uses 7 different air cells located within the seat to adjust the support at any given time. Let's say you're going around a turn a little bit too fast, it's going to be able to sense that and then adjust the support that's needed. So that's kind of cool. And memory settings come standard for 2 different drivers as well. And just like with the rear seats, the front seats are plenty comfortable. So you're not going to have any issues taking a long road trip in the G80. But then take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping and power adjustable, by the way. That was pretty cool. Leather wrapped for all trim levels and then heated for the all-wheel drive configurations in case you wanted that. But then make your way to the startup. Let me first start by showing you guys the key here. You have your Genesis logo on the one side. Then when you flip it over, lock, unlock, the button to pop the rear trunk down. There's also a remote start that comes standard. You do actually get a digital key that comes standard there as well. But my favorite part being Smart Park. Essentially the way you use that is as long as the vehicle is locked, you go ahead and remote start it, and then you can push those forward and backwards buttons to either move it forward or backwards. Let's say if you're in a tight parking spot, you can actually get in through the doors. That's how you're going to go ahead and use that. But if there ends up being a object or a person in front of the vehicle, it's going to automatically stop. Or if you just simply let go of the remote for that Smart Park feature, it's also going to stop. But I love that feature. I think it's so stinking cool. But anyways, it does all keyless entry with a push button start. So for this example, I'm just going to simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button there. And so as far as the gauges go, it will adjust the colors dependent upon what drive mode that you put it in. That's my favorite part of the gauges. You will get this aqua color if you go with the eco driving mode. There's this red color with, it looks like flames on the needle itself, which is super cool in the sport driving mode. Of course, you have your basics like outside temperature, miles per gallon, how many miles you have left until you hit empty, trip A, trip B, when you need your next oil change. The list goes on. The only thing with the gauges is you guys could probably see the right portion is digital, the left portion is analog. I wish it would have been all fully digital, but nonetheless, I still like that the colors adjust when you change driving modes. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality here. Panoramic sunroof coming with the 2.5 advanced trim level and up. Also overhead sunglass holder coming standard. There is a suede headliner for the 3.5 prestige trim level. You do have a frameless rear view mirror with HomeLink controls for up to 3 different garage doors as well. Dual zone climate control coming standard, and I like that it's in this digital format front and center here. I thought that was pretty cool when I was adjusting it there. 3-zone climate control though, coming with the 2.5 advanced trim level and up. Multicolored ambient lighting, I'll show you guys that when we get to the tech portion. Piano black accents coming standard. Matte wood accents coming with the 2.5 advanced trim level and up. That's what we of course have. Wireless phone charger for the 2.5 prestige and 3.5 liter trim levels. Dual USB charging ports up front there. Any decent amount of storage within the center armrest, and that center armrest actually has a tray within it and a 12-volt power outlet then as well. But overall, what really gets me is the attention to detail. It's the little finishes like on the climate control vents or the glove box handle, and even the steering wheel is finished to match the interior color palette. And typically other manufacturers will overlook that and leave it black when you have a different colored interior. So overall, interior quality is absolutely wonderful here in the G80 without a doubt. But now let's get to that tech display I was mentioning. 14.5 inch colored touchscreen display comes standard across the board, every single trim level, every configuration, and that is a massive screen. It is touchscreen, like I said. It is also voice activated, and there is a circular dial and buttons if you would prefer to control it that way. Bluetooth and audio streaming do come standard, of course, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. Factory navigation system also coming standard. There is a voice memo system if you wanted to record your voice and then play it back at a later date so you don't forget anything. That's pretty cool. Climate control settings you can adjust up there, and of course your ambient lighting as well. And by the way, there's 64 different color options. There's some preset options in there, but then there's kind of the color wheel where you get to select your custom color, and that's the one that gives you 64 different options. So that is definitely a pretty cool feature. I love ambient lighting in vehicles. There's also a quiet mode like Hyundai and Genesis puts on their SUVs, where it kind of cancels out the back speakers if maybe your rear passengers are sleeping and leaves it to a minimum level up in the front. Of course, you can check out your radio information up there as well. By the way, when it comes to the sound systems, 12 speakers is going to be the standard configuration, but then there is that 21 speaker Lexicon sound system if you go with the 2.5 advanced trim level and up. And so that is the one, of course, we have today. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. That that bass was rumbling the entire vehicle. Like, the clarity was of course amazing as well. Lexicon with Genesis just does an amazing job at their sound systems. That is one of the best sound systems out there without a doubt. And so the last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen is when you do put the G80 in reverse, you will of course find a rear view camera coming standard across the board, but if you were to go with the 2.5 liter Prestige and up, you will also get a surround view monitor, which kind of puts a digital view of the car, and then you can use your finger and swipe it all around. So I think that's pretty cool. I love the way Genesis did that, but as always, that is going to lead us into safety. And so last year when I reviewed the G80 when it first came out, this redesign, it wasn't yet rated by IIHS, but it is now, and it is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest designation given by that particular organization. So it doesn't get better than that. Front side curtain airbags do come standard, driver's knee airbag as well, and rear side impact airbags as well, which you usually don't ever get on vehicles out there right now, unless it's like a BMW, and then you got to pay a couple $100 for it, I think. But in the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard across the board. Forward collision avoidance assist, lane keep assist, which is a brilliant system on Genesis, lane following assist, a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, adaptive cruise control, once again done very well with Genesis, driver attention warning system, high beam assist, highway driving assist 2, which is Hyundai and Genesis's autonomous driving, semi-autonomous driving level 2 system, safe exit assist, and the Prestige trim levels are going to add a blind spot view monitor, smart park, rear occupant alert, rear parking sensors, and a digital key then as well. And so overall, when it comes to my final thoughts, the G80 truly is an amazing value. It starts at approximately $7,000 less than its nearest competition. That is crazy. And of course, it gives you America's best warranty and 3 years of complimentary maintenance on top of that. Amazing interior quality, like I was mentioning to you guys. Excellent tech on this one. Plenty of power, even in the 2.5 liter that we had today. 21 speaker Lexicon sound system is amazing. And the only constructive criticism I can think of is full digital gauge cluster would be pretty cool. Like, not just the half and half thing like we have, but a full digital gauge cluster. But that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media if you want to see what's coming next on the channel before it actually gets to YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button. If you're into new car reviews, that is what we do here on this channel. After all, do appreciate you guys watching more than you know. I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.